Some of the best sleep I ever had was curled up in a trash bag in the nasty, swampy woods of Fort Benning, Georgia, using the top secret US military discovered and perfected sleep techniques, which I'm going to share with you today. But before that, the first thing is your bed is both estrogenic and carcinogenic. Why do they think they have a label on them which says air out for 24 hours before you use? That's right, your mattress is literally off-gassing toxins that you are breathing in every single night. So you might think to yourself, well, why is this? It's because 50 years ago, the mainstream wisdom was that smoking was good for you. So the media propagated smoking, the science said smoking was good. So of course people were smoking, preferably after sex on their bed. And when you have smoking in bed, very naturally you have a flame hazard, like a fire hazard. And of course the mattress companies started putting flame retardants into the beds so that they don't catch fire, which makes sense until you realize that the flame retardants they used were highly toxic. You were probably exposed to these estrogenic and toxic substances as a baby when your mother laid you down to bed on a toxic mattress. Of course, she didn't know any better. And then your father probably purchased for you teething toys, you know, the toys which babies chew on. They often contain high levels of BPA. And when the companies realized that there was bad press around BPA, what do? They switched out the BPA for BPS and BPF, which are actually even more toxic than BPA ever was. So you were poisoned, not just today, but as an infant. Hell, even before you were born, in the womb, you were poisoned. And then the scientists are trying to figure out, why are the sperm counts going low? Why is testosterone falling? And why so many kids are being diagnosed with mental illnesses? Well, that's not the question. The real question is how we as a species are even functional after we've been exposed to so many toxins. It's basically chemical warfare. Well, the answer is humans, and of course nature in general, is very anti-fragile. Once you give nature or humans a chance to recover, we can fix ourselves just naturally. And sleep is a key part of this process. Sleep is when your body detoxes and releases a lot of toxins which builds up, both from the brain and the body. I'm going to teach you the exact way you optimize sleep, including a lot of tips which you've never heard of, because sleep is going to give you the ultimate asymmetric advantage. Because sleep, if you're young, is going to actually increase your height because you have more human growth hormone. If you're a man, it's going to increase your testosterone, make you more competitive in the gym, with women, making money, everything. And if you're a woman, it's even more important for you because it helps you regulate your cycle. Literally, sleep recharges your dopamine. That's right, dopamine is not a toxin. You should not be doing a dopamine detox. Rather, you should be recharging dopamine, and sleep recharges dopamine. The more dopamine you have, the more motivated you are and the more productivity you have per day. It gives you the ultimate unfair advantage in life. Literally, sleep affects the size of your balls and the size of your dick. If that doesn't make you want to optimize your sleep, I don't know what's going to do it for you. Book 1, the sleep environment. The first thing is, of course, your bed. You need to have a non-toxic bed. I'm talking about a bed which is completely made of organic substances. Latex, cotton, wool, your entire bed is made of these. And the funny thing is, when you make a bed out of these organic substances, it's almost naturally flame retardant. So you don't have to add toxins in order to make it flame retardant. And the good thing is, more and more companies are coming out which are making non-toxic products. Nowadays, you're able to find companies which don't put toxins into their mattresses. Now, completely organic mattresses may be outside your price range. Maybe you can afford it. In which case, I had 3 budget options. First is the military option. A military cot. It's a folding cot which folds out, doesn't have any toxins in it, and you can put a cotton liner on top and then lay on top of the cotton liner so your body is completely safe from any kind of toxin. And the second option is the samurai option. It's called a tatami mat. You can find these things on Amazon. You can find them in many different sites. It's basically a Japanese straw mat. And this is literally what the samurai used. Completely non-toxic, safe to sleep on, highly recommend. Then we have the tribal option. This is just a simple straw mat. You just roll it out, put a cotton liner on top of it, and there you go. Sleep on the floor on that mat. That's better for you than these toxic mattresses are. Your question now might be, well, these are too uncomfortable to sleep on. How do you sleep on these things? Well, I'll address all those questions in the sleep posture part of this guide. But before we get there, what should you wear when you're sleeping? Ideally, nothing. Sleep naked. Because your body's thermoregulation, which is the temperature regulation of your body, is very, very important when you sleep. It's a huge role in whether you get good quality sleep or not. If you sleep naked, you're essentially ensuring that your body has the ability to rid itself of extra heat and get a better quality sleep. Of course, if you're not able to sleep naked for some reason, just wear a cotton boxers, cotton undershirt, something really light, so it doesn't impede your body's ability to eject extra heat. Book 2, sleep posture. So what's the best way to sleep? Should you sleep on your back, your side, your belly? Don't sleep on your belly, that's the worst possible position. You have two options, back or your side. I prefer side, and here's the reason why. All apes sleep on their side, which shows that nature has a preference for sleeping on its side. And also all pre-modern people, so literally like tribal people who have not been influenced by modernity, these individuals sleep on their side. Why is this? The reason is the scientists have found out that when you sleep on your side, the brain can actually detox itself much better. So the brain, like the rest of your body, builds up toxins as you go about the day. But the difference is your body can actually detox some of these toxins into the bloodstream during the day, but the brain cannot do that. The brain can only detox during the night. It literally flushes the toxins into your spinal fluid, and the spinal fluid carries these toxins to your body where it gets purged. It turns out that if you're lying on your side, it's actually easier for the toxins to enter your spinal fluid and get removed. So humans seem to have evolved to sleep on their side so that this brain toxins are removed more easily. If you're going to sleep on your side, make sure you have a pillow between your knees as you're lying on your side. The reason is it opens up your hip angle a little bit, which is very important for better blood flow and circulation, also puts less stress on your joints. You might have figured out by now that the spine integrity, the integrity of your spinal column, is very important for ensuring that the brain becomes detoxified. At the end of this video, I'll show you some stretching practices to ensure that your spine is ready to detox the brain. I'm literally a certified yoga instructor, so I know what I'm talking about. Another thing when you're sleeping on your side is your pillow. You've probably never seen a pillow like this. Why? Because this pillow is height adjustable. It's important because when you're sleeping on your side, you don't want your neck to be kind of like craned, because it's going to hurt your neck and it's also not going to allow the blood flow required for the brain detoxification. So you need a pillow which is about the same size as your shoulder so that your neck remains intact and is in line with your spine. So this pillow is called a buckwheat pillow. So it's another Japanese product. It's filled with something called buckwheat. So there's a zip on here which you can actually open, and you can take out some of the buckwheat and put it in a separate bag to reduce or increase the height. Like if you add this bag, it'll obviously increase the height. So why did I choose this? It's because I could have chosen a foam pillow, which I'm not going to do because it's toxic. I could have chosen a cotton or down or wool kind of pillow, which is fine, but it tends to irritate my nose for some reason. So buckwheat is completely non-allergenic. So this is a good choice for those people who have some kind of allergy to cotton, wool, down. But regardless, if breathing at night is a problem for you, you need to watch my esoteric breathing guide in which I break down different ways to improve your breathing. Does this mean you should never sleep on your back? Actually, no. Back is not bad so long as you don't have any breathing issues. If you're sleeping on your back, there's a higher chance that you might be snoring because of the throat being constricted. But if you don't have that issue, then back sleeping is not bad. But make sure that you have a pillow placed below your knees again when you're sleeping on your back. So if this is you and you're sleeping on your back, you want a pillow under your knees because it's going to elevate your legs slightly. And that also helps you purge your toxins better. So you have something called a lymphatic system, which is the toxin removal system. It's going to work better if your feet are slightly elevated. And before I forget, a sleep mask or a sleep like iPad, whatever you want to call these things. Buy a silk iPad which goes over your eyes and shuts out the light. Very important for your sleep quality. Make sure it's silk if you can, because two reasons. One, silk is very good for your skin in the sense that cotton might have some abrasive effect, but silk is actually pretty smooth, so it doesn't do anything to your skin. And the second reason is silk doesn't warm you up. So you are covering half your face with the iPad, obviously. So you don't want something which retains heat a lot. So cotton or wool iPads are not the best option. Silk is the better option. You also should be using a silk pillowcase or pillow cover. Why? Because again, same reasons. You're going to be sleeping on your side. Your face is in contact with the silk for 9 hours. And you certainly don't want an allergenic or synthetic substance touching your face for so long. Book 3, breathing. Sadly, the air we breathe as humans today is not the air our ancestors used to breathe. You wouldn't need a HEPA filter if you're in ancient Rome or Mohenjo-daro. You only need a HEPA filter nowadays because our air is hyper concentrated with all kinds of pollutants, pollen, and toxins. So you need a HEPA filter in your home to filter those out. And mold. Mold spores are pretty common in most people's houses. So that's another reason people's nose get congested, because there's little mold growing in your home. Is a HEPA filter. As you can see, it has a filter, it has a fan. So it's basically sucking air through the sides, purifying it, and then releasing it into my room. Then you might want to consider having a humidifier. The air in your room is dry. This is going to help you moisturize your nose and make sure that it's not inflamed. Then this is a tip which my dad gave me. You can apply a single drop of coconut oil in the inside of your nose, and this is going to prevent it from drying out and prevent some inflammation. You're able to breathe better and get better sleep. And lastly, tape over your mouth, right? This is a common one. just apply a piece of medical tape over your mouth so you're not mouth breathing. This is important not only for your sleep quality, but also for your facial attractiveness, like how symmetrical your face is. This is dependent on how you breathe. So if you care about how you look, which everybody cares about how they look, consider having a piece of medical tape over your mouth as you sleep. Book 4, supplements. First off, melatonin is a no-go. Melatonin is a psyop. So first thing, all drugstore bought melatonin has very poor quality control. You have no idea how much melatonin is actually in there. Second thing, artificial melatonin. So melatonin you get in a bottle, that's going to interfere with your actual natural melatonin production in your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is one of the most important parts of your brain, very delicate and important structure in your brain, produces melatonin. So I don't trust anything which interferes with the function of the pineal gland, including fluoride in our water. If you want to know more about that topic, you should go to my fluoride video. One question you might have is caffeine. Should you have caffeine? Does it interfere with sleep? Well, of course it interferes with sleep. So you should only have caffeine in the morning, 1 hour after you wake up, not immediately after you wake up. That's important because it prevents a caffeine crash later on in the day. But make sure you aren't using one of those nasty ass coffee machines. The reason is it sends the hot water through plastic tubes into your coffee. And even if the water is pure, because the hot water is running through plastic tubes, it's going to pick up the phthalates from the plastic tube and make your coffee estrogenic. So be careful there. So what supplement can you take to actually improve your sleep? Well, I got the solution for you. The esoteric sleep elixir. Book 5, blue light. You already know this one. I'm not going to waste your time. Blue light glasses do work to some extent, but you shouldn't be using your screens and phone 2 hours before sleeping. But I'll give you some information which you didn't know. Watching the sunset is actually an important part of your sleep routine. If you watch the sunlight go down, the way the wavelengths interact with your eye informs your brain that it's sleep time. And that actually protects you from the blue light radiation from your phones. But even more important than that is waking up in the morning and actually stepping outside your home and getting some direct sunlight into your eyes. No sunglasses, nothing. Just you're outside of the home and you're looking in the direction of the sun. You don't have to literally look at the sun, just look in the direction of the sun. This is very, very important because of 3 reasons. One, it's going to recharge your dopamine, which is going to affect literally every single component of your life. And I'm going to go into this in detail in the next video I make, which is going to be the most important video I make, called Your Brain on Porn. I'm going to teach you literally how to break your porn addiction for the rest of your life. And a big component of that is a dopamine recharge. So getting sunlight early in the morning is actually an important part of that. But not just for the dopamine though. Getting sunlight in the morning is going to purge your brain of melatonin and adenosine, which are not bad compounds or anything, but they're sleep compounds. So you don't really want them in the morning. Sunlight will literally reject all of those from your brain, making you ready for the rest of your day. What about artificial light? So just like your lights which light up your room during the night, is that okay? Actually, no. I have a programmable light, which I'll show you on screen. It turns red, literally automatically it turns red at 10 p.m. and it turns off automatically at midnight. For me, I prefer midnight, but the ideal, like the scientifically proven best time to sleep is 10 p.m. Find out what works for you. For me, midnight seems to work well. So my light literally turns red automatically at 10 p.m. and turns off literally at midnight. And in the morning, automatically turns on at 7 a.m., which signals my brain and my body that it's time to wake up. So that's right, I don't use an alarm. I use this automatic light as an alarm. When the lights go on, it gives my body the cue to wake up, and I just gradually wake up naturally instead of being jarred awake by an alarm. Because you don't sleep in a linear fashion, you sleep in a cycle. And when you have an alarm, it might jar you out of deep sleep and you'll just feel groggy and tired for the rest of the day. So much better to use a light alarm rather than an actual sound alarm. In addition to the red light in my room, I'll also use candles or an oil lamp instead of actual lights. But if you're going to use a candle, be sure that it's a beeswax candle, not one of these artificial candles which have scents in them, because when you have a scented candle, these release toxins into the air. If you have a bird, if you own birds, you will know for a fact that you should never have a scented candle. Why? Because the birds literally die because of the toxins present in your scented candles. So it's literally a canary in the coal mine type situation. Book 6, mental game. Sometimes you can have the perfect night routine and everything, but when you lay down to sleep, your thoughts just start racing. Your mind is racing. You're thinking of past, the present, the future. You're making plans, you're strategizing, and you simply aren't able to fall asleep. This is a common problem for me, and the way I got around this is by using the techniques which I'm going to show you right now. But before we go into the techniques, the best way to actually fall asleep is by closing all the loops. Let me explain. If you're an overthinker or if you're having racing thoughts at night, the reason why this is happening is because you didn't have a productive day. If there was a lot of things you wanted to do during the day, but you didn't get them done for one reason or another, your brain leaves those loops running. So what happens is your brain is constantly thinking of ways to correct that, finding ways to complete those tasks. But if you have an actually productive day and you knock out all the tasks that you intended to do, your brain closes all those loops and says to your body, it's time to sleep. And your brain finally goes into wholesome, beautiful, detoxifying sleep. So I'll give you two techniques, both of them adapted from the army technique which I was taught in basic training, which basically allows you to communicate with your body and tell it to not be in the fight or flight mode and rather be in the rest and relax mode. It's not very surprising that a soldier's life on the battlefield can be extremely stressful, and that's an understatement. So the army actually came up with sleep techniques to make sure that soldiers and pilots get good quality sleep, even if they are chronically stressed. I've modified these a little bit, and I'm going to give you like a simplified and easy version, which is just as effective. So this is a body scan. What you're doing is when you're laying on your bed, you're laying flat on your bed, so on your back, and you have the pillow under your knees, like I mentioned before. You place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly as you're lying flat on your back. So you can literally feel your breathing enter your nose, to your chest, to your belly, and then out the same way. And as you're feeling your breathing, what you're going to do is a body scan. So you're going to start by thinking and focusing on the top of your head and work your way down to the base of your feet. Other people say that you should start at the feet and go to your head. They're wrong. This is the better way to do it, I promise. So you literally go body part by body part. So you start with your scalp, your forehead, eyebrows, eyes, nose, mouth, whatever it is, your neck, shoulders, arms, body, torso, glutes, thighs, calves, feet. You think of each of these parts and you essentially wish them well. You wish them relaxation and peace, and you in fact give these parts of your body gratitude for doing such a great job during the day. This tells your body it's in rest and relax mode. It's essentially a way you communicate between the mind and the body. And you do this through your breathing. So every time you're focusing on a body part, you're taking in a deep breath and then visualizing the stress leaving you as you breathe out. Like I said, the hands are placed on your chest and belly, so you can literally feel the air going in and out, and that is going to relieve the stress from your body and help you go to sleep in about 10 minutes. If you want me to cover more esoteric topics like lucid dreaming, let me know in the comments. Another esoteric concept is NSDR, non-sleep deep rest, which was traditionally known for thousands and tens of thousands of years as yoga nidra, which means yogic sleep essentially. And this is a science-approved and tradition-approved rest practice, which I'll have to make a separate video because it's essentially like a guided meditation. You aren't sleeping, but you're deriving most of the benefits of sleep. You can do this anytime, including at night or the day, and it restores your dopamine and you can increase your productivity like crazy. So I'll make that separate video and you can use that as a special resource. Now going on to the topic of dreams. Should you pay any heed to dreams? In my personal opinion, absolutely yes. In the modern world, we've kind of discarded the idea of dreams. Nobody even talks about dreams. Even in other sleep-related videos, no one talks about dreams. It's almost like a non-scientific thing. But that's not true. Some of the greatest inventions, the greatest pieces of music, the greatest pieces of art have come from the dreams of these artists. Hell, even the movie Terminator apparently came from James Cameron's dreams. Literally, the structure of DNA, the structure of benzene, a million other inventions have come from our dreams. And most probably, you don't even dream, do you? They did a very interesting experiment on mice. So they took a bunch of mice, put them through a maze, and then they had these like probes in their brain recording every single like neural impulse as they're going through the maze. And then when they were sleeping, they put the probes back in to see what they were dreaming about. And sure enough, the mice were actually dreaming of their journey through the maze. And here's what's interesting. They dreamt of going through the maze linearly. They dreamt going backwards, and they dreamt even skipping portions of the maze. Essentially, they were doing a complex problem-solving thing in their brain during their dreams and finding out alternate creative ways to navigate that maze. So if a mouse can do that kind of creative thinking, then imagine what power we have as human beings. Now, afternoon naps. Should you sleep during the afternoon? Answer is actually yes. Sleeping during the afternoon is known to boost brain function, mental health, mental clarity, everything. However, it may not be practical for a lot of us, in which case you should resort to NSDR, which I mentioned before. Book 7, Waking Up. If you want an esoteric morning routine guide, let me know, I'll make a video. But for here, I'll just say the one thing which I already said before. You need to get out of your house and get some direct sunlight in the morning. That should be the most important part of your morning routine. Literally fixes other problems in your life. And also I'll say something about diet. Eat eggs, eat mushrooms. These ones have vitamin D, which your body synthesizes and helps you regulate your circadian rhythm. By the way, if you literally want a biologist and somebody who's well versed in history and philosophy to work for you full time, consider joining my community, the Country Club. I will literally give you the ultimate asymmetric advantage by giving you the top tier science and tradition tools to improve your health. And not only that, I'll give you knowledge about history and philosophy so that you not only become healthier and stronger, but also become wiser and smarter. Links in the description. Book 8, Esoteric Nighttime Routine. A key component of your nighttime routine needs to be regulating your body temperature. So here's what you do. You get yourself a little spray bottle of water, or of course you can just splash water from your sink. You spray your forearms with water, and you spray your face with water. You spray your ears and your neck with water. This allows your body to eject extra heat, cools your body down, and it's very, very important for high quality sleep. Next thing, you should take your phone, turn it completely off, and put it aside. Why? Because your phone is always radiating something called RFEMWs, radio frequency electromagnetic waves. And these are shown to be bad for living tissue. It's bad for your testosterone production, it's bad for your sperm production, it's bad for your heart, it's bad for your brain. Spending 9 hours with a phone next to you, terrible idea. Put it aside, my guys. And you know how I have the PSYOP method using science, intuition, observation, and philosophy? This is not my observation or intuition. This is literally science showing you that your phone is bad for you. I'll literally link the studies in the description below if you want to check them out. Book 9, Visualization. Imagine it's 10 p.m. You've already completed the day's tasks. You've had an immensely productive day. Literally, you're weeks ahead of your 12-week plan. Even though others haven't seen the change, you know that things are gaining serious momentum. The automatic red lights have come on, you've completed your sleep routine, you've already had your chamomile tea, and you're feeling slightly tired. There's a slight bit of soreness from the powerful workout you completed earlier in the day. You sit down on your slightly cold bed, you take a deep breath and do a full body scan. Every part of your body checks out as fully operational, and before you know it, you're asleep. When you awake the next day, you feel massive energy surging through your body. You have a massive erection. You barely can piss because your dick is so hard. And when you manage that, you get a big drink of the electrolyte elixir and you step out into the sun. The sunlight is a little bit strong at first, but your eyes adjust. Then you feel an additional surge of energy as you realize not a single task today will be too difficult for you to conquer. Everything will fall into place as though by divine intervention. For the forces of chaos have no chance when the forces of heaven have got your back. As I told you, the spine integrity is the most important part of your brain detoxification as you sleep. So I'm going to show you the stretches which is going to help with this. First, we're going to start off in Shavasana, which is just laying down. So just laying down flat on the mat, and you're going to do exactly as I say. So I am literally a certified yoga instructor, so I know what I'm talking about. So you lie down flat on your back. And first thing, let out a nice deep breath so that you're nice and controlled, you're in the present. It's actually important to get your mind right when you're doing this. It does genuinely help with muscle relaxation. So once you're here, you're going to take your left leg, point left toes upwards, arms at a 45-degree angle to your torso, and you're going to drop the left leg across your body, and your gaze is going to shift to the opposite direction. You can use this offhand to secure your knee, it's up to you. And you'll spend some time here. And I'm trying to not let my shoulders raise off the ground, so I'm not letting myself do something like this. The shoulders remain flat, and this is going to give you a nice stretch on your glutes. And of course, you're going to get a nice spinal twist, which is the objective. Then we use our hand to move the knee back to neutral, drop it down. Of course, I'm going a little bit fast because of the nature of YouTube, but you would take as much time as you need. You'll take your right leg, drop it across the body, and move your gaze to the opposite side. And spend some time here as long as it feels comfortable to you. Take your left hand, move the knee back to neutral, drop it down. Then you do a figure 4 stretch. So you'll get your left leg bent at the knee, take your right leg and actually bend it across your left leg, bringing the right ankle to left knee. And from here, we'll take our right hand and push away on the right knee. So you get a nice stretch on the hip flexor muscles. And of course, you can actually take your right hand, pass it through the gap, clasp left knee, bring your left hand around, clasp left knee, and bring the entire hip girdle off the ground. That's a nice big glute stretch. Very, very useful if you spend a lot of time sitting and working. 100% useful. If you want a full video on all the most effective stretches, let me know and I will make that. It'll be probably one of the most important videos I make, because if you have a good stretching routine and you actually implement it day after day, it's genuinely a life-changing addition to your life. Huge return on investment. So once you're done with your figure 4 stretch, you can actually sit up and get into a nice deep squat. So a deep squat, literally what it sounds like. You're going to sit down nice and deep. Now, if you are more experienced, then you can do crazy stuff like, balance on one leg and everything, but you don't need to do that. A nice deep squat is going to give you a lot of spine bend. I'm allowing my lower back to bend. It's not like a weighted squat. You're not trying to maintain a squat position. You're actually trying to get as loose as possible. And then from here, we are going to go into a cobra sequence. So we'll start off kind of in a push-up position. Arms are by your chest level. Your feet are pointed to the ground, so you're flat. You'll press up and allow your hips to sag. So you're not doing a push-up. You're just doing a cobra pose, it's called, and you're letting your shoulders ride forward. And this is your cobra pose. So it's kind of the opposite of the deep squat, right? It's stretching the spine in the opposite direction. So hold this for a little bit, as long as it's comfortable for you, and drop it down. And then you'll go into a quad stretch. So just sit back on your ankles. So I'm not able to do this properly because I took a savage kick to my left knee while kickboxing. Then you're going to take your hands, place them slightly behind you, and then lean backwards and open up your chest. Very good for your spinal integrity. It's also good for your shoulders and traps and everything. And then we go into a child's pose, which is the opposite. You'll start by putting your elbows on the ground, your forearms, your palms, your forehead, and this is a child's pose. You can increase the distance between your knees and really sink into it. It's up to you. Spend as much time in this position as you want. It's a nice rest position. Then you'll walk it back, come back to where you were. And then I like to finish it off with a massage gun. So I got this Bob and Brad massage gun. It's literally, you press this button and I place it on my traps, because traps is where I tend to get tense. I'll put a link to it in the description. So I know I went a little bit fast, and that's because of the nature of this particular video. But if you want an actual guide, like an in-depth guide on how to actually do this stuff properly, along with a morning stretch routine, let me know and I'll make it after my trip to Europe. That's right, I'm actually going to Portugal, Spain, France, and Italy. And I'm going to be sharing my entire journey along with other forbidden wisdom on my Instagram, so you should follow me there.